crazy.
And help me out because we do need to work, but I am thinking you have relatives or friends or something in Florida, don't you?
Um,
Maybe I'm confusing you with
well,
somebody.
my son has a friend right there in Tampa on the canal, and he got hit with Helene. He said his house flooded and lost a couple cars.
Jeez.
So we offered him one of our cars, but they didn't want it. But now this other one's coming. But he was telling Max, he goes, these people that didn't evacuate, I have no sympathy for them. So we
Yeah.
had 2 days notice to get out. We got out and we're alive. That's what counts. And he's right. But there are a lot of people, I'm not leaving. I've lived in this house forever. And then they have
Well,
to
and I
risk
know,
their lives to rescue them, which is insane.
well, and I know a lot of these people have lived through a hurricane before,
Yeah.
but all hurricanes are not equal. You may have lived through a category 3 or a 4. I don't know. It does sound cold, but I would have a hard time driving away from, my home and everything that's in it. But at some point, you got to do it, right?
You
I
gotta
mean,
do it. You gotta, yeah. I mean, just hearing what happened in North Carolina.
did they
I'm still
really?
trying to figure out why they had such extensive flooding there. It's just really weird. Seems like something's off.
You
But
know, I have to agree too. And, there's all of this stuff. As soon as you mention, climate control or weather or something like that, people are going to say you're crazy. And
yeah,
do I think that these were made or manipulated using that? I don't think so. But what I also know is you can't tell me that, oh, that's all, nonsense, because it's not. You can look back and forever they've been trying to figure out a way to control climate. And they've used it, all the time for ski resorts and things like that. It was part of why Rapid City was flooded so badly, and maybe even Big Thompson. And so they just love to make fun of anybody who says there might be something to it. Well, it's not, whether there's something to it. The only question is that what caused these hurricanes or exacerbated? And I don't know, but there's ample evidence out there that they have tried to figure out how to do this for a long time.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. Anyway, we could sit
All
here
right.
all
I
day.
just got a reminder from somebody poked their head in the door here and they said they needed the studio. I said, well, you know what?
All right, we'll crank it out.
Going as fast as I can. All right, let me get a clock up here and we'll be good to go. Every time I see a big juiced up um Mustang. What does Mark have? Mustang, right?
They
I
both had a
always do that.
Challenger, but they sold them already.
Always do that. Well, it doesn't apply, but every time I see a big juiced up Mustang driving northbound on the interstate, I'm like, well, that must be Mark. And I'm glad I didn't honk and wave, because whoever is driving a car that isn't what he owned before, selling it or whatever, would be going, what the hell's wrong with you?
Yeah.
All right.
At least
I've got a clock up here and I am ready to go. You're good, Barb?
Yep, I'm ready.
David is always ready. I'll count us down in 3, 2, 1. Hi, I'm Richard Randall, and welcome to Your Real Estate Voice with Barb Schlinker, the owner of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. This is the weekly radio show that informs and it educates you on how to buy or sell real estate, and it does it with Colorado's Real Estate Authority, Barb Schlinker. Barb Schlinker is a retired Navy veteran. Barb's an author. Barb Schlinker is a pilot. Barb and her team enjoy all that Colorado and the Front Range have to offer. Barb, always great to be talking with you. Now, we air Your Real Estate Voice every Saturday. And a reminder that if you can't listen to the entire show, it is always available on Barb's site, barbhasthebuyers.com, or just go ahead and search all of the popular podcast platforms, iHeartRadio, as well as the others. Every week, Your Real Estate Voice covers great information about the housing market, one of your largest assets, your home, and it is up-to-date information. Barb, what are we talking about today?
Well, Richard, this is a problem right now because the average days on market for a home seller that's putting their home on the market, the ones that are getting contracts right now is 83 days. So we're going to talk about what to do if your house is up for sale and not selling. And then we're going to talk about how long does it take to sell my house? What is normal right now? And then also we're going to cover how to sell a home in a weak real estate market. This is actually a pretty strong real estate market, but it's not a bidding war market. So I think the magic secret sauce to this is marketing and pricing it right. And then the last topic is, do real estate agents either undervalue or inflate property values to get sellers to sign with them or to get buyers to sign with them? You should see what I'm seeing right now, where the agents are to justify their fee because of the new NAR settlement. They're actually trying to convince the buyer it's not worth the asking price. So it's craziness. I mean, the market really has brought out all the weird people in the industry right now. So it's going to be fun to talk about that. Richard.
So, Barb, as we wade into this Barb, as we wade into the prime selling season, what's in store for the future of the area real estate market? And how do home sellers solve that problem of their homes not selling in the current market?
Well, Richard, for a while I was a little bit perplexed about what was going on because I'm like, this has to give. We've had increased inventory, yet the rates were higher. Now they're lower. And at the same time, the number of sales were the same or less than last year. So at some point, the prices are going to have to give. So it finally happened. Although the Fed has lowered the interest rates for the way banks loan money to each other by a half a point, it did not translate to mortgage rates. In fact, we were down at like 6.14. I think now it's up to 6.5 again. So mortgage rates are actually going up again, which is really strange. And pending sales absolutely have slowed down, and it's affecting sales prices. Now, some of that has to do with seasonality. Like, we get a bulk of our sales in this area probably in the summer months. So in the fall, there's fewer, but there's always buyers looking for homes. But as compared to a year ago, the sales have dipped by 10%, yet the inventory has gone up by 35%. So that means that the prices absolutely have to soften. And just looking at county averages, we're seeing the median list price go down, down, down. We're seeing inventory climb or flatten out. And then the rates went up, which is they went down and then they went up again. So one of the things I discovered is our preferred lender will actually offer buyers a 1% buy down on their mortgage rate if they work with them, and at no extra cost, which is really great because I think there's a lot of buyers that are just sitting on the sidelines waiting for the rates to come down. And if the rates come down, then the buyers are going to come out of the woodwork, and then they're going to be facing competition again because it's really not a bad market. The average days on market's over 80 days. And as we see the inventory go up, some people are taking their house off the market, maybe waiting for a springtime market. We might see more demand pick up, but if as the rates go down, but if that happens, if the rates keep staying in the low sixes number or even drop down into the fives, what's going to happen is the buyers are going to come out and you're going to have to compete. I just a few minutes ago put one of my listings under contract, and it's only been on the market for a day, and we got over asking price, right? So it can still be done if you know exactly how to position the home to get top dollar. There's also new construction competition going on. So that represents a big majority of the sales, and they are offering the same kind of benefits. Come on in and we'll give you a 1 point rate down, we'll pay your closing cost, and we'll give you an air conditioning for free. So the inventory really has changed. The median price has fluctuated quite a bit. And so what we've seen from the beginning of the year to now is the prices were higher at the beginning of the year, but we've kind of lost all that ground. So we really haven't gone up in value that much. And a lot of that has to do with the inventory. And I don't know about you, Richard, but don't you think some of it might have to do with the election and all the chaos that's going on right now?
I think it is having a huge influence. And, the question is, will it be as influential as COVID was? Probably not, but there is no question. This is, again, probably, if not the most significant election, certainly one of them, Barb.
For sure. It is huge. And I think people are worried, like, should I invest? Is the market going to crash? They don't know. But I think having all that settled will help an awful lot. But I think it's a big mistake for buyers to wait until rates come down because that means they're going to be facing competition. My name is Barb Schlinker. I am the real estate broker for Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. Barb has the buyer's team, and I'm also the host of the show, Your Real Estate Voice. And we're talking about what a home seller can do about if their home is sitting on the market not selling. And when we come back, we're going to talk about what buyers and sellers can do and what they can expect to see over the next couple of months. And if you are thinking of making a move, we just went over 28,000 buyers in waiting just on my little website. Typically, I can match about 700 buyers to any home. Plus, we show up at all of our appointments with at least a half dozen or more cash offers on their home. That way they have choices and certainty that it's going to sell. So give us a call at 719-301-3900 or go to barbhasthebuyers.com. Richard?
Barb, one of the reasons I recommend you so heavily to people is you've been doing this for a couple of decades. You know the market, it goes up and down, it changes, and you're on top of it all the time. We're talking about the current real estate market and how people can be prepared if they want to buy or sell. So, Barb, what should home sellers expect and do in this current market situation?
So if your house is on the market and it's not selling, it's one of two problems. One of them could be marketing. I just took over a listing from another agent that the house was great. It was beautiful. In fact, he didn't even have pictures online about its best features, which included that it backed to open space, that it had a gorgeous covered back patio. And he used his iPhone to take pictures, which so the photo quality was really bad. So the house had been sitting on the market for 110 days. He overpriced it from the beginning, slowly walked the price down, and finally, towards the end, the seller called me and said, "Hey, what do I do? Do I have to go through this whole contract with him?" And I said, "Well," I explained to him what I would do if I were in his shoes. And he was able to cancel that agreement, sign with me, and 9 days later, we had his home under contract for full price. And I even had another buyer that wanted it. They were a little late to the party, like 120 days late to the party, and said, "You should have waited for me. I wanted that house." And I'm like, I can't read everybody's mind. Why weren't you there the last 9 days? So it's just kind of crazy, but it was marketing. It wasn't really pricing. So it's very important right now when you see a market kind of softening, correcting, that you can't really rely on historic sales to get that full market value. You absolutely have to price it very realistically in order to get buyers to make an offer. And we know how to do that. If you overprice, it is a huge mistake because now everything is available online, right? So the buyers are probably better about the conditions of the real estate market for what they're looking for than many real estate agents are. They're actually watching what's available, what went under contract, what's available in their price range, what do homes look like around there. They've been in a few, they know more about it probably than the average real estate agent, in my view. And so they can see just online whether or not a home is overpriced. And most buyers, they won't leave their fuzzy bunny slippers if a house is overpriced. They won't go look at it. They won't make an offer. So it's really, really important when you set that asking price that you price it right. Otherwise, it's just going to sit there and you're going to be another one of those sellers waiting months after month after month and having all these buyers come to your house and pick it apart. Well, it doesn't have this, it doesn't have that. And, at the end of the day, it doesn't result in a sale. And nobody likes having to show their home. I don't know anybody that enjoys that part of the process. So, because you have to, kids and dogs. And I met with a seller recently that had lots of pets, and some of her pets were birds. And she also has cats, and she has to keep that door closed. And I said, this is going to be a problem, because I know the agents aren't going to behave. They're not going to shut that door, and then the cats are going to eat the birds. So a lot of sellers don't really know that, but we have other solutions available for her. So prices could fluctuate here and there just a little bit. I wouldn't worry about timing the market. I would just make it work for what works best for you. And now that the rates are kind of creeping back up again, what the seller should do is price the home very realistically, make sure the home is absolutely marketed right. If you've got some agent that's too cheap to spend $250 on professional pictures, then I think you should look somewhere else, and definitely ask that question when you're interviewing agents, and you should fire them if that's what they're doing to you. It's so obvious to see if they're using iPhone pictures, because they're vertical and they're skinny and the lighting is bad. And that's all it takes to make buyers move on and not pick your home to put it on the must-see list. So that is absolutely critical, and pricing it right is absolutely the secret sauce to getting the home sold. I've sold over 200 homes for the VA. All of them sell. All of them sell fast. Most of them with a bidding war. They know how to price a home. They price it realistically versus optimistically, and then make sure you have it marketing right. So if you need to sell your home right now, we actually have multiple offers on any address in the country. We can show up with offers on your home, and that way you have options. You get to pick which one's better for you. Should I sell it to this cash buyer? Should I go on the open market? Either one is fine. You don't have to accept any offer. All you have to do is just give us a call to find out at 719-301-3900, or go to barbhasthebuyers.com. Richard?
You're listening to Your Real Estate Voice. That's Barb Schlinker of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. And if you are thinking of making a move, just call Barb and her team, 719-301-3900, or go ahead and visit barbhasthebuyers.com. That's truth in advertising, incidentally. She has almost 30,000 of them. When we come back, we're going to be talking about how long does it take to sell your home in Colorado, right? Wait, I got that wrong. When we come back, we'll be talking about how long does it take to sell your Colorado home. Stay tuned for that. All right.
Hey,
Boy, that
Barb,
was on the money.
Yes.
do you need to disclaim because you said that you can sell any home in the country, any address in the country? Do you have to state that you're only licensed to Colorado, or I don't want to
Well,
get you
I
in
could
trouble.
refer it to another agent too.
Okay.
That's a good question. Did I say sell, or I can have offers for any home?
You said you could have a cash offer for
Oh,
any address in
that's
the
true.
nation.
That's true.
Okay.
That doesn't mean I could sell it, but I could refer it to
Okay.
somebody licensed in another state. I'm glad you thought about that. So I don't.
Yeah, I just didn't want you to get in trouble.
She's a liar. That'd be like, what's that name? Tim Walls. I was a knucklehead.
Well, I think it's more of a knucklehead to not accept that as a question, you know.
Well, it's true, and I could prove it. So come on,
There you
bring it
go.
on. Ask me the question.
I just got a text message from Tim Walls. He said he's the only knucklehead that ought to be using that term. And I can't argue with that. I would have to agree with
Got a
that.
patent on it.
Yeah, gosh dang. I'm not going to get started on talking about him or whatever, but it's a fascinating conversation. And I think you and I are on the same page. Let me take a quick drink of Red Bull. Well, I set it over here so I don't spill it, but. Roll the dice.
I appreciate that you have my back, DJ. Keep me out of real estate trouble.
Well, I don't know if that's possible. They're
I don't
looking.
think it is. I had an agent, pretty experienced agent, ask me yesterday, how come you're on that My State MLS? I said, because I get busted for 100% of my listings in Pikes Peak MLS. He's like, oh, are you not following the rules? I'm like,
Mm,
yeah, I'm following the rules. It's just every
yeah, but
single
I'm also
one.
looking out for my client.
Yeah. I said, but I don't want to, I gave him the example of, they require that you put the picture of the empty house in the, in the MLS. I said, that tells the whole world that it's vacant and I don't want to do that. And I've told him that.
Hey, Venezuelan gangs, this house is
Exactly.
open.
Exactly. Come on down. Mark even read an article about how they're looking on Zillow for homes like that. So I don't care.
You know
But
what? I mean, that's the whole problem. Some of these people live in a vacuum and they don't look at these things realistically. And far from that being an issue with you not wanting photos of an empty home, that's all the more reason, as DJ just said, that people want to go with somebody who is looking out for them. And boy, all it takes is just, we see all these horror stories. Once they get in, you're not going to get them out, or you're going to get them out eventually, but go with you and make sure you don't have the problem in the first place.
yeah,
That's
it's really bad once they get in. So,
okay. I got a new clock. I'm
okay.
ready to go. Count us down in 3, 2, 1. Welcome back to Your Real Estate Voice with Barb Schlinker, the weekly radio show that informs and educates you on how to buy or sell real estate with Barb Schlinker, the owner of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. Now, Barb, many home sellers want to sell their homes for the most money that they can get, of course. And there are also some situations where people need to sell their homes and do it very quickly. How long does it take to sell a house in Colorado? And what are some of the options that most home sellers have?
Well, Richard, when we meet with home sellers, we actually sit down and ask them what are their goals? Like when do they want to move? And if they could, give us their ideal scenario, what is that? So we give them all the information. I don't hold anything back. I'll say, look, this is what similar homes have sold for. Here's your competition. Here's our cash offers. These people could close in 2.5 weeks. Or if you test the market, you could be sitting on the market for 4, 5, 6 months or longer and have no sale. So either way is fine with us. We're going to try everything to get you the most money, but it's hard to get people to embrace the idea of pricing it on the low end of the spectrum actually gets you more money. They think I'm crazy when I tell them that, but it gets you more money. And even if they're overpriced, and then they lower it down into the range where it should be, boom, we get a contract right away. So it's but we start with our goals. What are their goals? Some people want to time the market, some people, it just depends on their motivation and their goals. And then we take a look at the property as well, because not every house is beautiful. Some homes need repairs. Some people want to sell as is. I met recently with a seller that started packing because they thought they were going to move a while ago. And then that whole deal fell apart. So now their house is all boxed up and they don't want to unbox it because they are going to move. I said, don't worry, we got a plan for that. So we give them choices and solutions to their situation. And there are some homes that are a little bit harder to get financing on. Like I just took on a home that was taken back in foreclosure from the VA way out east, out in the prairie. It's on 30 acres. It was so shocking because when you looked at the old pictures of when the former owner had it, it was adorable. It was beautiful. It was well kept up. It looked like a great place. And I don't know, this last owner that let it go to foreclosure, it was when I got there and looked at it, it was an absolute wreck. They'd blown out bathrooms. It was just a mess. And so the problem is when they blew out bathrooms, now the plumbing doesn't work. So that takes away anybody getting a government loan unless you get a rehab loan, right? So it really depends on the home's condition, on the strategy of the sale. That is a factor of it. Or if you have more than one or two homes on one parcel, some lenders don't like loaning on those. Single wides are hard to sell. There's just all kinds of different situations which would dictate an appropriate pricing strategy. So how long it will take really pivots on A, the pricing, and B, the condition, and C, the seller's goals. I'm sorry, and see the seller's goals. So, traditional buyers really want move-in ready. They want to move in, drop their stuff, get on with their lives, and not have to fix anything. So you're going to create some automatic demand destruction if you offer a home completely as is. It's funny, in the descriptions in the MLSs, a lot of times we'll see what I call code that is some words that agents used to indicate that the house needs work. One of my favorite ones is TLC, tender loving care. To me, that word means the house is completely thrashed. And that's usually true. Just a little TLC, bring your paintbrush, handyman special, all those kind of things are probably an indication that it won't be going for traditional financing, but not necessarily. But a lot of the buyers now, because the prices are higher, the payments are higher, they're willing to take on repairs just to get into a home in a certain neighborhood if it needs a little bit of work. If a home's been completely gutted down to the studs, like I had one a few months ago that was owned by the VA like that, there's no way you could get traditional financing because all of the drywall was gone, all of the cabinets, everything in the bathrooms was just gone. So that one would take a lot of money to bring it to full market value. So there was a different price for that. We still had 20 offers on that one. But there are some flippers that will make a decent offer on a fixer upper. And then what about a new home? So if many builders, if you're a home seller and you want to build a new home, there are quite a few builders because the market is soft that will not accept a sale contingency. In fact, if you're going to build the house from the ground up, they won't even start the home. They won't reserve the lot unless you can remove your sale contingency, even though the build might take 6-9 months a year, right? Because they don't want to build this home to your specifications and then, oh, sorry, I couldn't sell my house. And they got to sell it. Then they've got this ball and chain to sell to someone else. So there are some that will accept it, but you really have to ask the builders about their policy. But we have options for that. We've got also all kinds of great programs that can solve that problem, that can get your equity out of your home without you having to move twice. And just give us a call and we'd be happy to share any one of those with you. And then the other thing is cash offers. So this is a way to get her done in as little as 2.5 weeks. We actually have a proprietary platform that came from my coaching group that only my company has in this town, where we can show up with at least a half dozen cash offers on any property, and you get to pick the best one for you. And I'm talking about residential homes. I'm not talking about land. I'm not talking about multifamily, although there's a few that will do it. But more and more sellers are opting for these cash offer programs just for one main reason, and it's certainty. Certainty that their home is going to close on this day. Certainty that they're going to get the price that was promised in their agreement. Certainty that they know when they're going to move. Certainty that they don't have to worry about the deal blowing up over inspection or the deal blowing up over appraisal or the buyer just changing their minds or maybe not being able to qualify for financing even though they said they could. And on average, you might give up maybe a little bit of equity, 4 to 5%. It's not really that bad considering the bonus of certainty that you're going to get. And they are gaining more and more momentum because we're seeing a growing amount of home sellers accept these cash offers because of that certainty, because it gives them a sooner closing time, and because they know for sure they're going to get to the finish line without inspections, without appraisals, and all that crazy stuff. And they're great. There's different ones. There's some that, they're kind of as is. You give a little bit of equity up. But you know what? You get to the finish line in 2.5 weeks. There's others where you get paid some of your equity up front, and then they go on to resell it, and they pay you again when it's resold and repaired for full market value. So one of the things that we bring to the table is options. Most agents, the only option is to do what I call post and hope. Stick it in the MLS, hope some other agent has a buyer so they get paid. That's what most agents do. My name is Barb Schlinker. I'm the broker owner of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. Barb has the buyer's team and the host of this show, Your Real Estate Voice. And we're talking about really how long does it take to sell a house? It really depends on the seller's motivation. And then when we come back, we're going to be talking about some benefits of accepting a cash offer program versus the traditional sale, and how you can get one in as little as 24 hours. So if you are thinking of making a move and you'd like to get a quick cash sale, give us a call. It's better than just getting one offer. I've seen some people do some research and they see maybe one or two cash investors out there. We have 65 to 70 of them on our platform, and we're adding more and more buyers, including local investors, to it as we speak. So what we do is we put your home in that platform, and within minutes, it spits out a bunch of offers, and we can show up and explain them to you, and you can decide whether or not you want to proceed with that or not. So give us a call at 719-301-3900 or go to barbhasthebuyers.com. Richard?
You're listening to Barb Schlinker of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. And if you're interested in selling, you want to call Barb at 719-301-3900. We're talking, Barb, about why would a home seller be interested in getting a cash offer on their home?
Well, there's a couple of important benefits. One of them is that no appraisal is required. Appraisals are primarily required by lenders to prove to the lender that's providing the money that the home is worth what the buyer agreed to pay. And another reason is they can close quickly. They don't have to wait around for because I've seen contracts get delayed sometimes for weeks over really dumb things, like the lender forgot to redisclose that the closing costs have changed, and that adds a week, or this or that. Oh, I had one that just closed recently where when we did the septic check, oh, we got to replace the septic. And that took 3 full months just to get all that, just to get a bid. We don't even have the repair done. So with cash, you don't have to worry about all these failures. You have the certainty that it's sold. And for some people, it's the best case. Some people don't want strangers coming through their house. They don't want to deal with all that chaos. So, or they don't want to fix up their home and make it look real pretty for sales. So cash buyers don't really care how pretty it is. And we can do that for you. And they can also buy their next home first. That's really important for people, because most people won't move unless they have a destination in mind. So let's say they see a house that they just have to have that's in another state or in another neighborhood. Chances are, if they make an offer contingent on the home selling, the seller is less likely to accept that offer because they don't have certainty, and they don't want to take their house off the market in hopes that maybe you'll get a buyer. I just went through that once with one of my sellers, and I tried to convince them not to do it. Sure enough, they did it. And then when that seller put their house on the market, it was priced, no kidding, Richard, 150,000 over market value. Now, do you know anybody that's willing to pay 150,000 over what it's worth for a house right now?
There are like gullible people in the world, but I don't even see them biting on something like that.
Yeah. And so it's just like, no, we're not, this isn't going to work. And then they did an inspection and demanded stuff. And we're just like, no. And the deal fell apart, and then their want back. It's just another drama day in Barb's world. But anyway, it just wasn't going to be a solution, because if they're overpriced their home way above market value, how do we know when it's going to sell? And the problem is we have to tell the world that it has a contingent contract, and that creates demand destruction. Other buyers think it's not available. So we solved that. We're back on the market. We're getting showings, and it's going to go through. My name is Barb. And give me a call anytime at 719-301-3900 or go to barbhasthebuyers.com. Richard.
You're listening to Barb Schlinker of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. If you're thinking of making a move, call Barb 719-301-3900 or visit barbhasthebuyers.com. We'll take a short break. When we come back, we're going to be talking about how to sell a home in what has become a weakening market. Stay tuned for that.
Okay. DJ, do you think I sound too sassy?
Not yet. I'm waiting for it.
I'm holding back, I guess, but the truth is, oh God, I'll be right back.
Okay.
All right.
Job of staying on the side of it, being problematic and yet being passionate. So just DJ and I were just talking about that.
What?
All right.
My sassiness?
Yeah, exactly. You come off very well when you're sassy because, I think it just reflects the passion that you have. And I want, whether it's somebody telling me about sports or selling a home or whatever, you're invested in it. And I think it just shows your passion for it. And I don't think it's just David and I who, want somebody who's passionate about this. And yet you're always on the right side of the line. So there you have it.
Yeah, well,
All right. I've got
you just punched my Liberty card. Get ready. I'm going to be saying something that, anyway.
Oh, wait, hang on. Dodges, dismisses. Oh, God. I have to say, then I just really have to say this, but there are people, everything is chaotic. Everybody is overwhelmed. And there are people who love to take advantage of that to try to weasel some little deal while they think people aren't paying attention.
Mhm.
And just give me 1 second. I want to see if they had a press conference at 11 o'clock concerning the Veterans Day parade, which was canceled, but now it should be back on track. And
Here in town locally?
yeah, I mean, it was canceled over the weekend. And then last night I started getting some phone calls from some people.
Going to be canceled due to a lack of participation. There is now a new organizer of the event. John O'Donnell is the man behind the new parade efforts. He has organized many Colorado Springs parades in past years. And when the news of the annual Veterans Day parade came out that it was canceled, he quickly jumped into action. Now, only 5 weeks away, the Colorado Springs Chamber and Economic Development Corporation, along with the Military Affairs Council, are coming together to help sponsor the effort. And with our 95,000 veterans here in Colorado Springs, you could feel the excitement about the announcement. Now, the parade will be held on Tejon Street from St. Vrain to Vermajo. And we will have many, many more details on this parade tonight at 4, 5, and 6 o'clock. For now, reporting live in Colorado Springs, Mackenzie Stafford, KRDO 13.
Okay. All right.
All
there
right,
you are.
Mackenzie, thanks so much. Now,
David was just put the sound up, and so that is a go. And the what's happened is the guy who organized the St. Patrick's Day parades, they didn't say it in the story, but he's the person who has stepped up, and he's going to help organize this year's parade. I could go on for a long time about why it even got close to being canceled. It's pretty frustrating. All right, I got a clock up, and I've got a new everything, including a new attitude. You good to go, Barb? You look good. Your hair looks nice again. David and I don't have that issue in terms of good looking hair. It's just a thing. Count us down.
I shaved mine, so
I know, right? In 3, 2, 1. Welcome back to Your Real Estate Voice with Barb Schlinker. This is the weekly radio show that informs and educates you on how to buy or sell real estate. And it does it with Barb Schlinker, the owner of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. Now, Barb, when home sellers are planning to put their homes on the market, how does a home seller handle a shifting market? Is it the right time for them to sell or not?
Well, I think that the timing thing is one aspect. And that should work for them. Like they should have, okay, here's my destination and this is when I want to be there. And then you work backwards from there. So like as an example, I just helped a family put their house on the market. They're planning to be moved by the end of November. Okay, so that's pretty quick. We just went on the market a couple of days ago. Day one, we got an offer. And that was because they priced it right. Okay. And they prepared. They've been preparing for months. So they decluttered, they did a pre-inspection, they did all these things to get themselves ready. But had they overpriced it, the way the average days on market are working right now, they have a reason to be in their destination early December, right? So they had to price it what I call very, very realistically to get a buyer to jump on it right away. And that's exactly what happened. And we got over asking price. So it worked out great. So most people don't do this every day. And you need somebody that has experience selling homes to sit down and talk with you and figure out what is the timing? When do you want to sell? And what would be the ideal timing for you? And then we can figure out how to go from there. And the other thing that's changed, a lot of people assume that, hey, if I overprice a home, I can always lower the price, right? You know, it's no big deal. And yes, you can. That could be a solution. But the longer the house sits on the market, the less likely it is to get a full price for it if it's been sitting on the market for months and months and months. So because the technology's out there, you can see what homes are selling for, you can see what your competition looks like. The buyers can see this. They're becoming experts on the real estate market because they're in it right now, looking for what they're looking for. So you have to make sure all the stars align. And also the agent handling the sale is absolutely important. And just to give you an idea of what's going on in the market presently, and it does change, it does fluctuate here and there. I would say my overall consensus on the market is it's fairly strong, and it doesn't take much to make an adjustment below current market value to get an offer. But what we're seeing is there's more available homes on the market, and the volume of sales is at the same or less than it was a year ago. Even though rates have come down about 1% from the springtime, the longer days on market, the lack of sales is a huge mistake to let a home sit and go stale on the market for a number of months. And it's always best to price it just right. And we know that buyers eliminate homes online. A lot of people think, well, won't they make me an offer? Can't they come look at it and fall in love and then negotiate? And yeah, they're gonna try. They're gonna try to get a low price, but you have to be able to prove the value. And if it's not in the range of where it should be, buyers will eliminate that home in less than 57 seconds online. They won't even come and see it. And I had one client recently tell me, hey, they get 5 clicks out of me. That's all they're going to get when I'm looking for a home in my next destination. 5 clicks, and I don't like what I see, I'm moving on. So that's why the marketing has to be right. The preparation has to be right. The key rooms that you have to care about are curb appeal outside, how the outside looks for sure, even in the winter, the backyard, the view. People love outdoor living spaces. The living room needs to be decluttered. The flooring needs to be fresh as you can get it. The kitchen has to be, I'm not saying full on remodel on the kitchen, but if it's dated, you don't want to price it like it's a brand new house. The master bathroom and the master bedroom, those are the key rooms. And unfortunately, most buyers spend very little on marketing. Sorry. Okay, the average spend 129 a month on marketing. I mean, that doesn't even pay for one set of photos, but I understand that a majority of the agents are selling 3 or 4 homes a year. Those are the ones that are selling, and half don't sell any. It's really sad to see that the industry is that way. It could be a lot better. And I think it's just education. That's all. And there's enough business for everybody if they know what to do. Photos are absolutely critical. If you mess up on a photo, that could be enough to make a buyer go, I don't want to see that house. We don't put every single nook and cranny picture online because some of them, you want the pictures to attract the buyers, not repel the buyers. And some agents just don't know that. And 90% of that go or no go decision for the buyer is based on what they can see online. So if you're thinking of selling a home, first of all, you need to talk to an agent about marketing and make sure that they're absolutely marketing the home properly in order to maximize the sales price. And you want to be what I call the best home on the block in all aspects, in pricing, in staging, in preparation, in curb appeal. Make sure you have professional photography. We include talking house ads. But most importantly, we teach people how to price it right to win. And let's start with marketing in general. Most people really, it's weird, but most agents don't spend a lot of time studying marketing and staging and some of those things. I actually had a seller that I took a listing over from that the marketing was just so bad, but the house was beautiful. So it was an easy fix for me. But even the seller during that time with that agent that uses iPhone to take pictures, the seller paid for staging. He stroked a check for $3,000 to get furniture stuck in there so it looked better. And then he took more iPhone pictures of the furniture, which looked awful. And I'm just saying that it doesn't take much to learn how to do this. And our team has experts. We'll give you tips on what to do, what not to do to get your house ready for the most money. give you help on how to remove clutter. You put the house on the market in a different way than you live and get you prepared for photo day. According to the National Association of Realtors, just staging alone can get you 3 to 5% more money. With us, it's included. So here's an example of a house that obviously was not staged. It looks like toys on the ground, all these ugly blankets on the chairs, lots of clutter, doilies. It's not pretty. Okay, versus actually staging. And some of the staging is digital, some of it's real. It just depends on the situation. But the whole idea behind it is to get the buyers to visualize themselves living there. And the best way to do that is to make sure that things like clutter are eliminated. And most people live with clutter. I wouldn't say everybody, but most people live with clutter and they don't see it because they get used to their environment. I found that out in my own house right when we had those fires about 10 years ago. Somebody suggested I go through and take pictures of all the stuff in case there was a claim. I knew what was in the house, right? And I thought, oh, okay, that's a good idea. So I did it. And I looked at the pictures afterwards and I went, oh my God, my house is cluttered. I didn't think it was cluttered. So you just don't see it when you live there. Sorry, my nose is running a little bit. Okay. So pictures are a way to get them in the door. And the whole idea is to create demand. So one of the things that we do is we showcase our listings. So this is a new product from Zillow. That's where a lot of the buyers are searching. 226 million a month are on Zillow, right? So we know they definitely have the best mousetrap, okay? And they have the best system for getting buyers to search for homes, right? So we are there, and we are there with an upgrade of what's called Zillow Showcase. And with this system, we actually get more saves, more views, more shares. They tap into 600 buyers that have already searched for a home like yours and send it to them. And it puts my phone number at the top so people can reach me. So that's just one of the things that we do to really highlight a home. It costs extra money, but it's worth it because it means the seller's home is going to sell faster and for more money. You don't want your home to be eliminated online. And a lot of agents really don't know how to do this because they just haven't studied it. So my name is Barb Schlinker. I'm the broker owner with Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty and the host of this show, Your Real Estate Voice. And we're talking about how to sell a home in a softening market, or really any market. Say that again. We're talking about how to sell a house in a softening market, or really any market. You know, I've been in business for 29 years now, and I've seen all kinds of markets. I was in business during the meltdown, and I was in business during the dot-com bust. And after 9/11, I saw the market shift through all these different seasons. And the key thing is, no matter what the market was, pretty houses would sell as long as they're priced right. So next up, we're going to be talking about how you can do enhanced marketing to drive more and more buyers to your house. So give us a call if you are thinking of making a move. We offer a free in-home consultation on what to do and what not to do to get your house ready for sale. 719-301-3900, or go to barbhasthebuyers.com. Richard?
You're listening to Your Real Estate Voice with Barb Schlinker of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. You can always call or text her at 719-301-3900. And we're talking about selling homes while the market is weakening. Why are some things so important? What does your team do to set up a home to attract the most people?
Well, we've learned that the very first showing is online. That's where the buyers start, okay? And that's where your home could be eliminated in less than 57 seconds if we don't pass that test. And it involves the whole package: pricing, the photos, all those kind of things, how it stacks up against the competition. Buyers are figuring this out really, really quickly. So it's so important that buyers fall in love with the home online first, because that will spark a drive-by. So that's sometimes the next step, is they drive by. The one I put under contract yesterday, she hadn't seen it yet. She was out of town. She goes, oh my God, that's the one, get me that house. And she did. So and typically the buyers won't ask to go inside unless they like what they see based on what's being presented online. So you don't want to miss that one key step. And that includes professional photography, staging, all these things, all kinds of advertisements to get buyers to raise their hand to say, I want to see that home. Because I have seen so many pictures that agents will post on their listings that absolutely repel buyers. Is the biggest mistake you can make, and you don't want to do that. So we get rid of you don't have to show everything. We get rid of the photos that don't attract the buyer and make the house actually look more valuable. And with what we do on Showcase and homes.com, we're able to leverage their massive internet websites of over 356 million monthly visitors and get you a bunch of buyers that want to see your home. But it starts with pricing right, and we know how to do that. If you price it what I call realistically versus optimistically, there's no question we can get that home sold quickly. You're not going to have to wait a long time like the average seller is 80 some days to get a contract because they got bad advice for somebody that they're working with. So give us a call at 719-301-3900 or go to barbhasthebuyers.com. Richard?
You're listening to Your Real Estate Voice. That's Barb Schlinker of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. If you're thinking of making a move, call Barb 719-301-3900 or visit barbhasthebuyers.com. A short break. When we come back, we'll be talking about, do real estate agents undervalue or inflate property values to get sellers to sign with them? And we'll be talking about Barb's hot new listings.
Okay.
All right.
So what's the football schedule this weekend?
You know what? You're gonna have to ask him because I haven't watched a full football
Pre-game starts at 3:30
Okay.
in the afternoon.
Is it in town or somewhere else?
It's somewhere else. I'm trying to. They're at Colorado State.
Oh, God, CSU.
Yeah.
Cool.
I am so head down, buried with Trump coming to Aurora and everything with October 7th and all of that. I actually don't know who won over the weekend. Air Force? No.
Navy.
Navy. Okay. Because I did see some highlight. I kind of thought that might be the case because the highlights I were looking at showed a lot of Navy highlights. And I'm like, okay, well, that probably.
Navy hasn't lost yet.
Seriously.
Wow.
Dang.
Neither has
Richard,
Army.
Are you going to see the Donald?
Yes, I'll be up there on Friday, and I'm trying. The woman who blew the whistle on everything up there in Aurora, her name's Danielle Jurinsky. I've had her on the show like 7 or 8 times. She's going to be one of the speakers at the event, and I don't know what it means, but she said, why don't we meet in the parking lot and we can go in together? So I should have a media pass, but
Nice.
I'm wondering if she says that, and that would give me a chance to, get backstage and have a couple of minutes with him. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, that's
But
exciting.
it's exciting. Yeah, no matter what, right?
It'd be good to see a huge turnout there,
I think so. And, I don't think that Colorado's in play, but I got to tell you what, I don't know that all of the polling and everything necessarily reflects what's out there. I'd like to believe that there are more people in Colorado, if you give them the right information, would think long and hard about voting for him.
Yeah.
The problem is getting them, the information, because mainstream media is not going to do it.
No. But I think media is morphing, it's going offline, it's going podcast, it's going YouTube. It's definitely people aren't watching ABC and NBC anymore.
At
Yeah.
all. I have a woman listen to the show. She is former Democrat, and what she does is she still monitors MSNBC, CNN, Morning Joe, all those things. And over and over again, she is telling me, you know what, they're just not getting the reach that they had before. It drives them crazy. And you would think they would, kind of start being more fair and balanced, but they don't. So, okay.
No, they're getting worse. They're going all in with it.
Yep.
But
And I think it just means we have to use, more social media to get the truth out there to people.
yeah,
Because
I asked Max, he's conservative, but I said, hey, have you been tracking what's going on with the hurricane and that, Kamala's given them $750, but they're giving $4,000 to illegal aliens and all this stuff out of FEMA's money. And he goes, I just don't have time, so he listens to podcasts for maybe 15 minutes a day. That's where he gets his news, mostly from what's that guy's name? He's got Ben Shapiro.
Ben Shapiro, yeah. He's good. I mean, he talks very fast.
He does. You have to
But,
have a brain at that speed. I know.
I do think that the whole key is, I mean, my children, your children, David, it's a good barometer. And to this point, I think a lot of them just do not know exactly what's going on with FEMA, or that, they spent so much money.
My daughter's constantly asking me, okay, what's the shortened edition? Can you give me a summary just real quick? Because I don't have time for this.
Yeah.
I need to start focusing some of my social media so that people can share it with others along those lines, because I find it hard to believe that whether it's any of our kids, if they knew that people who are coming here illegally, many of them criminals, are getting preferred treatment over Americans,
Right.
I think that would change the election. But
And money.
money, yeah, and big money. All right, I've got a new clock.
Let me know how it goes. Well, see, hang on a sec, Richard. Did we get set for measurements? Did you reach?
Oh, you wanted me to call him? I thought you already set it up. I can call him.
Yeah, call. I haven't scheduled that one.
Okay.
So the other one I'm not too worried about.
Okay, yeah, I'll call.
So, okay.
Do you have a measuring tape?
I do in my truck. I have a couple of them.
Where are they in your truck? So I could run out and get it.
In the it's in the left RAM box.
Okay.
I have to lock it because I got my burn in here.
Get back in your name.
All right, so change. Let's see. No, that's right. That's perfect. That's perfect. Okay. Sorry.
All right, got it. Okay. Let's see here. I've got everything. I'll count us down in 3, 2, 1. Welcome back to Your Real Estate Voice with Barb Schlinker, the weekly radio show that informs and educates you on how to buy or sell real estate with Barb Schlinker, the owner of Your Home Sold, Guaranteed Realty. Now, Barb, skepticism is pretty common when doing business with anyone. Many people think that agents may not provide accurate valuations just in order to get business from that home seller. So in your experience, what has been the case when you're talking with home sellers about property values?
Well, Richard, typically the feedback I get, like I met with a seller just a week ago, and he said, we've sold 12 houses. We've never seen anything like this. Nobody's ever taken the time to show us all this stuff, So I think that I think it's just a lack of experience that goes on out there, lack of knowledge as far as property values. And one of the things that everybody knows since the NAR settlement happened, commission is no longer offered as a entitlement through the MLS. So they actually have to negotiate for it to get the seller to pay for it within the contract itself. The problem with that is that a lot of these agents really don't know how to establish their value. So what I'm finding is when I'm getting offers on my listings, the agents are justifying their value by right out of the gate, beating up the seller on the price, saying, oh, it's not worth that much. I just got one. It's a completely remodeled, beautiful home where the agent sends over, quote, similar sales And all of those were a 50s time warp without updating. Yet this one's remodeled and he thinks that's free for some reason, and I tried to explain it to him, and I felt like, honestly, Richard, I felt like I was getting mansplained
Oh,
throughout these
geez.
negotiations. Like he was going to tell me, I'm like, dude, I've sold thousands of homes. I'm not trying to brag, but I've been doing this 29 years. I sell a lot of homes and I do a lot of home values. And I've been to appraiser school and passed. So I know what the difference is between what a buyer would pay more for a updated home versus not updated, or a home that has views versus doesn't have views. Those are different deals. Those are different offers, right? And different sales prices. And I can prove that over and over again. But this agent was so convinced that he was going to, protect his buyer from the house by, convincing them it wasn't worth that much, right? So much so that he, quote, negotiated them right out of that house, even though they presented a cash proof of cash that they had 4 times the money to buy that home. Does that make sense? And oh, by the way, he was certain he deserved 3% for that. So I just sent him an email. I said, okay, you're asking the seller to pay you more money to beat him down on price. How is that fair? And he didn't have an answer for me. So it's getting worse before it gets better. I don't think that this change made any difference other than these guys are out there trying to beat their chest and justify their reason for being paid that much money. And I tried to lay it out in dollars and cents. I said, okay, if this goes through, you're going to make $20,000, and for what? For opening a door, writing a 10-minute contract, and then trying to beat the seller up on price, trying to mansplain to me about what the home is worth. And so it didn't work out well. And I didn't do this in a vacuum. Like, I was coordinating with the seller. I wanted to know his opinion. It doesn't matter what I think. It matters what the seller thinks at the end of the day. And the seller didn't agree with him either. I said, look at these comps he's sending. They're all 50s time warp. None of them have been updated. I said, and so I sent this buyer before and after pictures. Like, okay, here's the before of the kitchen. Here's before there was no driveway. Here's the before of the old falling down deck. Here's the before of the old dated bathrooms. All the drywall in the basement was gone. Those things cost money and buyers will pay for it. But he was just so convinced his establishment of value was trying to prove to the buyer and try to prove to me and the seller that because he bought it at a discount, he also put a lot of money into it to bring it to the standard that it was today, trying to convince me and the seller that it wasn't worth what he was asking. And the problem is his buyer doesn't get the house. And that is an absolute failure. At the end of the day, if you got a buyer that wants to buy and a seller that wants to sell, and the dummy real estate agent that's so arrogant that he can't see past that his buyer wants the house, he talks them out of it. So they're going to end up with a lesser house. Now, do you think that's right? Is that the right thing to do?
Boy, that isn't even close to being the right thing to do. When you're a deal breaker for any reason other than it's a bad deal, you've got a problem.
Yeah. So I'm like, okay, I couldn't convince you. Bye-bye. There'll be another buyer that will come along. So anyway, it's insanity to me what's going on. And I see it over and over again. If they don't do it with negotiations, they do it with inspections. I mean, they will give the house a full-on check in and out. I'm talking every kind of test known to man, and talk them out of buying the house. Now, every house, even new houses, have issues. And a logical person that really wants the house would say, okay, well, it's an older home. All right, it's got some issues, maybe not major issues, but almost anything is fixable. So I just think that that's what's happening right now. That could be why there are fewer sales happening right now as well. As far as establishing an asking price, part of the reason why the average days on market is over 83 days right now is that these agents don't know how to competitively price the home, right? So they're telling these sellers, oh, look, that one sold for, this price. So therefore you must get that price. Or I would pad in a little negotiating. All that stuff is a huge mistake. You get your best offers if you price it right out of the gate. And I don't know why they aren't trained to do that. And I meet more and more sellers that have fired another agent because their house sat on the market. They priced it too high. They slowly walked the price down, which the National Association of Realtors tells us if you slowly walk the price down, on average, you're going to net less money. You're better off pricing it quickly. And the longer it sits on the market, the more likely it is that the buyer is not going to pay full price for the home because they think the seller is desperate. So anyway, I guess I just get frustrated over this, and the ones that are smart and bring good offers, they're going to get paid the most and their buyers are going to get the house, which is a bonus. This is still a strong market, right? And I think that buyer and the seller said something to me yesterday about all these negotiations with this dummy agent, because one of the things he put in his email was, oh, well, there are other homes that they could live with. And he goes, I thought this was a great quote. He goes, people don't get married because they just could live with them. It's the same thing with the house. You don't buy a house because it's just okay and you could live with it, right? They have to really want it. So if they're making an offer, they really want it. Why would you be an agent that gets in the middle and says, I am the master of the real estate universe. I'm going to save you some money. It's not worth that much. Watch me fly. And guess what? They blow it up, right? And it's sad. But anyway, okay, I'll get off my horse for a second. Not all real estate agents the same. So what I mean by that is that these are statistics that don't come from me. These come from these real estate companies. A lot of these big box real estate companies, the best real estate agents are selling 4 homes a year. Okay. And half of the 5,400 in this market are not selling any houses. So for somebody that's selling 4 homes a year, how well can they really give you a good idea what your home is worth if they're not educated on how to really evaluate the market? They probably could do it if they knew how to evaluate the market, but the problem is that they don't, and they just make a general assessment. Okay, your house is worth this much. Let me post it in the MLS and hope somebody else has a buyer so I get paid. That's how it works. So we have helped thousands of sellers. We do this all the time. You really need to look at the market overall, look at similar sales, look at the competition, look at the improvements of the competition. If your competition is a 50s time warp, it's not going to be the same sales price as one that's been completely rehabbed. So I don't know why they don't know that, but sometimes they give sellers bad advice, unfortunately, and that could lead to the seller's houses sitting on the market for months and months. My name is Barb Schlinker. I'm the broker of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty and the host of this show, Your Real Estate Voice. And we are talking about whether or not agents undervalue or inflate property value just to get a client to sign on the bottom line, buyers and sellers. And next up, we're just going to pick a few questions that you might want to think about when you're interviewing agents. Richard?
We're talking, Barb, about whether or not choosing a discount agent will be a help to a home seller who's trying to save money. Barb, what are some other things that a home seller should look for when they're choosing an agent to represent them on one of the largest assets of their life?
Well, here's the thing. Real estate has an 80% turnover of agents in the industry. A lot of them have second jobs. I can tell because I don't hear from them until after 5:30 or late at night, never during business hours. I can tell they have another job to supplement their income. So, eventually those people are going to drop out because they're not focused. They're not really honing their skills to be good at this business. So a lot of them don't really understand valuation and how to really get homes sold. And we do it all the time. We know exactly what we're doing. And so one of the good questions that you should be asking to whoever you're interviewing is, how many homes have you sold in the last year, in the last month? How are you going to help me price my home right? Because that's the number one thing that home sellers want to know. Besides how to get their house ready, they want to know how to get their house ready for sale and how to price it right, because they don't do this every day either. So if you'd like to get a free in-home consultation on what to do and what not to do to get your house ready for sale, go over all of the cash offers that we bring, as well as what would it cost to sell your home and how much you'll put in your pocket when it sells, give us a call at 719-301-3900 or go to barbhasthebuyers.com. Richard?
You're listening to Your Real Estate Voice. That's Barb Schlinker of Your Home Sold, Guaranteed Realty. And if you're thinking of making a move, simply call Barb, 719-301-3900, or visit barbhasthebuyers.com. Barb, favorite time of the show, hot new listings.
I love talking about listings. It's fun. I've got a couple of great lots. Actually, one on Ramada Point down in Fountain at 75,000. I have another beautiful one on 5 acres off Roller Coaster Road, and that one's getting some activity right away. A fabulous 5-plex on Lachelle, a gorgeous home on Crandall, just lowered their price to $439,999 with a finished basement. And some of these are selling so fast I can't keep up. I've got a great one on Alta Plaza. That one needs some work, but great lot with gorgeous views. A gorgeous remodeled home by Colorado Springs Country Club on Shelton. A spectacular home on 5 acres with an RV garage on Chalet Lane. And there's lots more, including one on Mountain Estates in Florissant, which has a great building site and a great place to start. So we've got more coming all the time. If you want to find out about all of our listings, go to barbhasthebuyers.com or call us at 719-301-3900. Richard?
You've been listening to Your Real Estate Voice. It airs every Saturday. If you're thinking of making a move, call Barb, 719-301-3900, or visit barbhasthebuyers.com. And remember, you can see replays of the show on Barb's YouTube channel, Barb Has the Buyers, or listen to the podcast on all of the popular platforms. Thanks for listening. And to reach out to Barb, again, 719-301-3900. Thanks for listening. Have a great weekend. You too, Barb.
Thank you. You as well.
All right.
I hope I wasn't too mean. I just shredded that poor agent.
Well, you know what? I didn't want to get into it and end up talking too much, but and I learned this myself actually, that lawyers can either facilitate something happening or they can screw it up. And I was somebody who didn't screw it up, but when we first moved out here, my wife's a doctor, and KKTV, an attractive woman, and they thought about having her on once a week to talk about medical issues and stuff. And that'd be good for her practice. It'd be good for the station, win all the way around. But when I sat down to write the contract, or actually to modify the contract that she's being given from the medical practice, they didn't see the benefit in that. Instead of it being free advertising for them, they thought it was just one thing that would detract from her doing what they were hiring her to do. And, I could have screwed that thing up, and I had to just hit the brakes and remember, my job here is not to be the craftiest, smartest person who ever negotiated a deal. My main goal here is to make sure that I don't screw up the deal. And it turned out that if I'd gone down that path, KKTV in the long run decided they didn't really want to do that. It ended up not even being an issue, but I could have screwed up the whole thing by just being very, very aggressive. And I just can't tell you how divorces, whatever. There are so many times that lawyers end up screwing the deal up, and nobody's client it benefits from that. And so I think you're right on the money on that. It doesn't behoove the seller or the buyer when you blow the whole thing up.
No, it made no sense. It's like, you're kidding me, right? You sent me proof of funds of $2 million, and the cost is less than a fourth of that. And it was, I don't know. But
All right, so we got top choices,
Another
how to
day.
sell your home for the most money, top mistakes to avoid, how to avoid paying we didn't actually capital gains, benefits of considering a cash offer. What are you thinking, Barb?
let's go with benefits of considering a cash offer.
I like that because we talk about that a lot during
Yeah.
the week. I'm take the headphones off.
I bought some cookies from Lachelle's Bakery. You know that I think
Okay.
they're in
Three,
Pennsylvania.
two, one. Your real estate voice with Barb Schlinker, owner of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty, airs every Saturday from 11 to noon, right after Cudlow. This week, Barb's talking about the benefits of considering a cash offer on your home.
Okay.
Our business here is done. We'll adjourn again next week.
Okay.
Barb was asking about have you gone to Lachelle's for cookies?
No, I don't even know where that's at.
It's in Pennsylvania. And so I bought cookies from them because apparently that's sort of like the betting mode of elections, how many more cookies are getting ordered every election season.
Oh,
Whoever
wow.
orders, Republican or Democrat, whoever orders more cookies, and Trump is definitely ahead.
Everybody says this. I'm not profound by saying this, but um, I don't know how in the world anybody can think that Harris is going to win this election when you look at the crowds that Trump is drawing, how many people at the event, how long the lines are of people just trying to get to the event. They can tell you, oh, well, there's, popular support for Harris. There's not. And, I try to be careful about it, but yeah, I think they stole the last election. Did they do it in part because they changed all the rules for mail-in ballots and stuff? Yeah, that explains part of it, but you can't tell me that they didn't do more than that because they did do more than that.
Yeah.
So, I'll take a look at that. Maybe I should own some of those cookies. I'm looking at, I don't know if it'll be tonight again, but I did text some of my relatives to tell them last night you could see the aurora borealis very clearly from certain places in Colorado. It's so rare to have it this far down south, but I'm looking
Right.
at pictures from Monument, from out at Banning Lewis Ranch. And so I don't know how dark it is where you guys are at, but it
Pretty
might
dark.
be.
Well, go look for it. We weren't looking for it last night.
I
Mark.
know, right?
Oh,
So I'll tell you what, there's a website I checked to see because they kind of predict how far